Truckers are the heartbeat of America.
Now, it's time for those four crazy truckers to deliver you an hour of news, interviews, and entertainment for your listening pleasure. It's the Independent Truckers, right here at the Truckers Independent Broadcasting Network, with your host, Princess Allie, Mr. Rock and Roll Sean Mitchell, Lisa the Spoiled Squirrel Schrott, and John Grosvenor.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Thursday night edition. We're sorry about being late. We've had some technical difficulties. Allie, I don't know about you, but I kind of like our new intro.
I sure do. I like that a lot. Look at me, Princess Allie.
So,
I like
well,
it
you
too.
can thank Gerald Lancaster out of Indiana for that.
Well, thank you kindly.
So we agreed to have Gen Z come back on because we wanted to get a little bit more into part two. Logan, I'm going to start with you. Since the last interview, how do you find yourself being in the workforce these days?
Well, I've actually kind of changed my route there, bud. I'm actually starting college next week. This week was orientation, welcome stuff. Next week I start class.
And what do you foresee yourself doing now?
So now I'm gonna try to open my own business and probably go into like drone works and open that kind of business, doing digital imaging, realtor stuff, commercial property, flights, stuff like that, to just open up a business and try to go for myself.
And do you find, what kind of difficulties are you finding doing that right now?
Well, I really haven't started looking for stuff, but right now the difficulty is getting through school because COVID kind of messed up high school for me, and it's putting me a year and a half behind in college. So I'm on track to do about 5 years in college.
Okay. And where are you going to college at right now?
Marshall University in Huntington.
Marshall University is pretty well known, aren't they?
They are.
Okay.
Oh, look, there's Princess.
I got me some cookies too.
Oh, that's why you were hiding.
No, I really just woke up and I look like crap.
So, Allie, you kind of went in a different field since we last talked. What do you got going on these days?
Sorry, I got a phone call. Nothing too important. It's a big change. It's weird. It's the same pay as I used to make, but not the same paychecks. It's a bit weird. But yeah, nothing too new.
Do you feel maybe like a little bit, they're taking a little bit more taxes out of you?
I don't know. Possibly. I think that's how I did it, though. I know when I was working over at the hospital, I didn't fix my W-2 or whichever one it was, and I wasn't taking out any taxes. So that might be it.
Except what now?
I was saying that whenever I worked at the hospital, I didn't take any taxes out. I didn't put on my W2 or W4, whichever one it was when I started. So that's probably what it is.
Okay.
Now I'm getting more taken out.
So basically, I'm looking at this way. Would you two, since we last been on, do you foresee any changes for the better in our economy?
No.
I don't think it's gonna get any better.
Really, it's not. I don't think so either.
What would you foresee which would bring a lot of changes into where you guys feel like you could live comfortably?
Definitely not raise minimum wage. Like we have some candidates talking about. That's gonna put us in a worse place than we already are.
Logan?
I would have to agree with Allie on that. Like, not raise it because it's going to put us in a worse place than we already are. They're already estimating inflation go up another 2 to 3% by 2024, or not 2024, 2026. They're estimating $5 a gallon gas prices by 2027.
And I'm going to ask both of you, and I don't want to get too personal. You both have car payments, I take it.
Not right now. I don't have one right now, but I'm looking on trying to find a used vehicle to just buy it outright. Like, I'm looking on Facebook Marketplace, and cars aren't taken care of anymore, and it's so hard to try to find a vehicle that's in somewhat good condition where I can take care of it or at least try to fix it.
I could second that. I was just looking for a truck on Marketplace, and everybody dogs the crap out of it.
Well, and the problem I had with some places like Marketplace and even Facebook, there was an individual that had a nice looking Avalanche for sale, but I kept noticing it was going from state to state, and it only had so many miles on it. And when I asked to see pictures of the truck, they sent me the pictures, and then it was supposed to be in a storage facility in Mississippi. And I just happened to be going through there that week, and I asked to see it, and the next thing I know, I was blocked. So I guess what you might want to say is on this one that sometimes it's buyer beware.
Yeah.
So
Travis has bought plenty of motors for his truck, and he's been ripped off 3 times. So it's about time to go to a different route. So good luck, Logan, trying to find something.
I'm looking.
And make sure you get something good. If you need to, get your parents to help you out. Or your dad if he knows a lot.
My dad and my stepmom. My stepmom worked at the Toyota plant that's here in West Virginia. That's just right up the road from our house. So she knows a lot about vehicles. My dad used to sell vehicles. So I really got two really good people that are helping me.
So what do you find what very quickly, Allie, what did you find out what was going on with buying them online like you had?
I haven't bought any online because I didn't trust any vehicles I saw on there. But getting ripped off, I don't know, just getting ripped off and everything being pieces of crap, being dogged on motors, vehicles that are all beat up, and they have issues and they're lying to you about the issues, or they're even overcharging you for a vehicle.
Well, and and I was talking to an individual the other day, and they even made the statement that the used vehicles are actually making a comeback on their prices because of their stability of holding up.
Yeah.
So right now I'm sitting on a 97 Chevy, but I mean I could probably get a few dollars out of it. But the whole problem of it is, it's got some of its own issues, but it can be fixed.
Right.
So when we dive it a little bit farther into the economics of things for you too, the one thing I normally look at is what prices were when I was your age versus prices of how they are today. And the minimum wage going up is definitely not going to help. So what do you feel would be a comfortable minimum wage?
I think they should stick to $6 or $7 everywhere.
Logan?
I'm gonna have to actually agree with that because it money's not backed by anything anymore. They're actually showing the U.S. dollar is decreased in value against any other country.
I think I've talked to a lot of people my age, and they said if they were president, they'd raise it up to 17 an hour for minimum wage. And what I found out that they don't understand how I would say potentially is going to just bring everybody down. I have to explain to them, well, it's going to raise taxes and
Yep.
it's going to raise inflation even more than it already is. They
Well, I
just see
agree
it
with
in
that.
their eyes. Oh well, I'll just be getting more money, but they're
Yeah.
not realizing they're also going to have a lot more taken out from them.
Well, and right there's the key to it. The more you make, the more they take.
Yes, sir.
And
Right there's the key to it.
speaking on that, I was reading something the other day. Almost 48% of our paychecks go to the federal government
Okay.
in just taxes.
I can almost believe that.
Now that's for my state in the state of West Virginia. Because I was looking at my specific state. Just in my state alone is 48%. Just going to the federal government. Now we've only got one toll road in the state. But we've got federal income tax, state income tax. We've got our medical insurance, or not medical insurance, Medicaid, Social Security tax, state property tax, or sales tax is 6 or 7%. Plus, they're trying to our inspection stickers for our vehicles. That goes to the state government. Plus, our tags and registration for our vehicles, and they all
Well, and
tax.
they well,
They
and
all tax on that too.
they're also taxing you on the more you pay for the car, the more you're going to have to pay on the tax.
Correct.
John Alley's trying to come back in. If you can bring her in.
So
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm having issues as well.
It's ridiculous that almost 50% of our paychecks we don't even get to see at the end of every year.
The thing I always worried about with at your guys' age was would Social Security be around when I got ready to retire? And the way I'm looking at it right now is I'm not looking much hope for me, and I kind of wonder about y'all. Because quite frankly, Gen Z has got dealt a bad hand in some cases.
I don't
I
even
think.
think I'm going to be able to retire.
I think we're gonna be working until the day that we die.
I really do believe that, because there, unlike 40 years ago, there was an incentive. Work 40 years, you have retirement. There's no incentive now. We work until we die.
Well, and here's what I brought up in a discussion with somebody. As of this morning, I read 8 trucking companies now have went out of business. The fuel's going back up almost $4 a gallon in some states, and I already see what I'm getting at the end of the week. I just am curious about, and Allie and I have talked on occasions. I just really wonder how anybody's going to be able to make it right now, even on $15 to $17 an hour minimum wage. I mean,
Right.
it's almost the point for what Allie's doing. You can almost go flip hamburgers at McDonald's for the same price, but yet though she's putting in more time and effort.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but even like college degrees and everything, like I'm even starting to think about it. A lot of jobs you don't even have to have a degree for anymore. They'll pay you the same amount somebody with a degree what they get paid. And Logan, I could tell by your facial expressions. Are you like really passionate about like are you passionate about all these things about not being
Yeah.
able to afford everything and being struggling?
Yeah. Well, right now, for this semester, I've actually gotten almost $4,000 back. But I also didn't take out any loans. I also have 4 or 5 scholarships. So I'm not getting any money taken out of my own pocket. Everything's being paid for out of my school. But say 2 and 3 years when inflation goes up, those grants and scholarships and money that the federal government's awarded for grants and stuff like that is going to still be the same.
Well, that's very true.
So right now, I'm actually going to school for free with no cost out of my pocket.
Well, I think maybe we're going to get something going here. John, are you able to hear us?
Oh, John, having issues all the time. Come on, John, get your stuff together.
Let me see what he's got going on here. Okay, well, he's still working on technical difficulties, and we do apologize for this. This is the first time this has ever happened, so I don't know if the eons and the neons aren't meeting up together in the sky or what tonight, but I guess probably one of the last questions I would have to ask you too is this: where would you foresee yourselves in the next 20 years?
Honestly, I don't even know how I'm gonna see myself next month. I mean, work, just
Yeah.
and that's really all we can do. We can't even save money. Just take everything out of our savings, have to put it into everything else in our daily lives. I don't even see myself being able to save enough to get my own place, pay off my car. I don't see it happening.
I don't even see myself getting a vehicle. I'm in my dad's vehicle.
These times are tough, and I hate to say it, but a lot of the older generations, they don't. I hear all the time, well, Gen Z, doesn't want to work. They don't put in the effort. They don't want to work. Simply not true.
They
We're
just don't.
struggling.
They they don't see what we see. They see, oh, what they were doing at our age, but we're actually coming up into this world and we're seeing all this stuff and actually seeing and looking at it, and we actually have to work harder for what they are getting for us to get.
Well, and Logan, I'm kind of going to direct this at you because you're a little bit more into the farm area. But I remember, I was scraping hogs, swine, or I was scraping swine piss for $2.50 an hour. I was baling hay for $4.50 an hour. And then when all that was done, I remember the days I used to have to go help out on the campground we lived on. The point I'm bringing up is we had options. We had ways of
Right.
making $1 or $2. I paid for my first 10-speed bike just by going over and working for a farmer and baling hay. It was nothing to bring up $100. Now I sit and look at your generation and see you go buy a couple of Dr. Peppers and maybe help out in the house a little bit with groceries, and you done blow that $100.
You'll blow that $100 just getting dinner one night.
Well, and that's very true.
When I was working at McDonald's back in February, I was making $12 or $11 an hour, working 10-hour days. By the time my paycheck comes in and I help around the house, I maybe have $100 left. Just maybe.
Also, the issue is we don't have many jobs.
No.
I'm constantly looking and trying to keep myself on my feet and constantly searching. I'm looking online. I'm calling places. I'm going to different places, and there's not many jobs out there.
Well, and that's kind of what I was bringing up is when I was your guys' age, we had options. You guys don't have those kind of options anymore. Even Logan working to a primary near the farmlands, he don't have that option. And I think a lot of that has went to probably the productivity of how things have progressed.
I know that over the summer when I was looking for a part-time job, I walked into almost every single convenience store, gas station, and fast food restaurant that would actually pay something for me to take my time and go work. I walked in, filled out an application, called the next day after I filled it out. They called me, set up an interview. Where I would go in for the interview, no one would be there. When some places wouldn't even call me.
There's been plenty of jobs where I've had to call I had to call almost every single day, or I'd even go up there every single day. And a lot of times, well, we filled your position already.
Yeah.
And I tell them, well, here's my interview, and you're telling me y'all already filled my position that y'all are interviewing me for. Which it doesn't really bother me much anymore because I know everybody is looking for a job, but it's just not easy trying to get set up with one.
No, and I know from talking to you on the phone, Allie, I know for a fact you've really tried because you've been feet in the pavement every morning until you got what you got. So, and I know Logan has because him and I have talked on occasions too. I think what I mainly want to dive into at the moment, though, is he's going to college. You're working where you're at. Do you foresee that being into a full-time position?
Absolutely not. Not just the circumstances that I'm going through now, but it also depends on like the workplace and how the employees are, management is. Even today, it's not just Gen Z that's not wanting to work, but a lot of places they have poor management. Even the older managements don't even know how to work anymore, and um, they don't pay good. They don't, or if they hire you, they tell you, well, we're going to give you these hours and this and that, and they don't give you those hours. They cut you short and leave you no other choice but to have to find something else and go through all that process again.
Yep.
Well, and I agree. A lot of it is for managerial training. They wouldn't,
Yeah.
because this is the problem I got. Is they'll bring a new person in. I don't care what field you pick. They'll bring a new person in, but they were not trained proper enough to do that job. Somebody did not take the time with them. Are we back, John?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I did something right. I found it. It wasn't in StreamYard at all. I was blaming StreamYard for all my problems. It was actually in Google. It was in the search engine, in the search bar up above. I had to go to my mic settings there and adjust them there. It's ridiculous.
I keep telling you, quit watching damn movies on for Google.
I didn't watch anything off from Google. I only use this computer for computer stuff.
Okay.
I do StreamYard and I do research and just computer stuff.
So
Well, about time for us to find a new thing to stream our show. What do you think, John?
Well, it wasn't StreamYard, so I can't blame them. I don't know. Why? What were you thinking? You guys want Discord or something?
Oh no, we can't publicly do anything on Discord.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
I mean, I could find something somewhere.
You Discordians, you.
hey, Discordian's actually pretty cool. I
It-
played with it.
it's pretty cool, but you can't like you wouldn't be able to stream it like on Facebook like we do.
Yeah.
So, who's got the static going on here?
Not me.
I left. I thought it was me. I left and came back, and it's not me.
It's probably me. I've got my air conditioner running. It's hot.
I don't know. I saw when Allie was talking, I heard static. I'm
Sean,
blaming
is it you?
Princess. So,
Well, wait a minute. We're blaming the princess? How dare you?
So, where were we at here? I heard Sean ask you how you felt about the economy and if it was going to come back. And I heard some disgruntled talk about you didn't have much faith in the economic regain. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Our Gen Zers feel like we can't get a strong economy again.
Yes, sir. I think we're stuck at where we're at now.
Yeah.
Unless I hate to bring politics into it, unless we get a Republican candidate in the office, and they might fix it, but even that, I don't think we're going anywhere.
I think
Well-
we've dug a hole that we can't dig out.
Have you looked at Agenda 47?
I have.
You have read it?
Very vaguely. I haven't read all of it. I've skimmed through it.
So did you go to Donald Trump's website, go to platform, and click on that one there, or did you just kind of look at all those little bars or boxes he has?
I think I read. What did I read it off of? I think I actually did go to Donald Trump's page and go off of there.
I am on a quest to get people to understand. If you go to donaldjtrump.com/platform, it will take you to a PDF that outlines everything on the platform. It's only about 16 pages, but it goes into some pretty decent detail on his agenda. Not specific, but what he wants to accomplish.
Mhm.
And when I look at it, what I see is 1970s America. Buy American, make American, and buy American. That's in his agenda. He wants things manufactured in the United States again for advantage to the United States, where people can hire Americans to work it, use American factories to make it, and have Americans buying it. And of course, exports are always good too. And he wants to raise tariffs again to help balance or rebalance, according to Donald Trump. We're suffering about 1,000 or what do you say, $1 trillion a year deficit in trades. So we're importing more than what we're exporting. We're not benefiting from the imports and exports. There's an imbalance, and he wants to rebalance that again. Our dollar value is based off our GDP, or a lot of it is. There's varying factors what depicts our dollar value, how we hold debts and GDP and a few other things. So by creating more in the United States, by having a higher GDP, or gross domestic product is what that means, what we produce, it'll strengthen our dollar. So
Well, even if you remember right though, John, even when Walmart was coming up as big as they were, everything they bought was truly American, and if they couldn't get it, they would actually have a disclaimer on the shelf. Sorry, we cannot get this in an American product.
that's exactly what the old man did. He always bought American and sold American. He lost that fight though.
But do
Over
you feel
time,
like
because everything
outsourcing a
was
lot?
becoming outsourced, so he
But
couldn't do it
again,
anymore.
but do you feel like outsourcing a lot of our jobs has that actually affected our economy?
It depends on what we outsource. As far as I'm concerned, I've always said this: we should never outsource anything unless labor demands require it. So, when you remember President Clinton's second term, we had this booming economy. I mean, it was huge. You could not buy any retail space. Retail space was going for top dollar. They couldn't find labor. We had about 12 million illegals in this country, and didn't even know it because we were all working our butts off. We had people who had 2 and 3 jobs, working their butts off. They were working their butts off to pay for homes. So they talk about the Frank Dodd loans and stuff like that. The Frank Dodd loans worked at the time. They really did, because people could afford them. What crashed was the housing market. When the housing market crashed, I know, Logan, you got to get out of here.
No, all good.
So, that was Ellie was responding to you. So yeah, when the housing market crashed, that's when Frank Dodd did discontinue to work. Everything went haywire. It was fine when things were in place and the mechanism were functioning properly. But when we had the crash, then they didn't work. And this is the problem with big government, isn't it? Big government's always trying to drive something, and they're creating programs for driving something. As long as that one person's empowered to drive that mechanism, it works fine. But as soon as we change power and go into George H.W. Bush, and they don't care about those mechanisms, that's not on their agenda, then the previous administration's agenda starts to crash. And so do all the programs that were put in place and instituted.
Well, and I remember when Mitch Daniels was governor of Indiana, the first thing he did was he sold off the rights to the Indiana Toll Road. 6 months later, that company went bankrupt. So somebody else had to pick up the slack. Then he gets on television and he says he saved the state of Indiana $5 million because he outsourced some of the jobs that could have been provided to Indiana. And what did that morally hit? And a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of your car parts came out of Indiana.
Yep.
Kokomo, Chrysler,
Kokomo,
been there.
Newcastle, Lafayette, Fort
Yes.
Wayne, Evansville.
Absolutely.
Even a town like little small town of Plainfield, Indiana.
So when we saw Detroit crash, what happened to the city? We quit calling it Detroit and started calling it Detroit because of all the crime and the crap and the dilapidation of the city. It just went downhill. It became rampant with crime. And I mean, this is what happens, I'll blame it on the Democrats all you want to, but when you're allowing outsourcing of jobs and you're making cars overseas now and all the parts are being made in Mexico, and the Republicans have a point. You got trade unions had their place at one time, but when you got a guy out there in 1980 pushing a broom for $18 an hour, and I'm not exaggerating, and that was a lot of money. It's like paying him $36 an hour today or something, just to push a broom, to sweep the floor.
So,
What?
well,
Yes, sir.
Evansville was noted for two big things: Whirlpool and Newton buying. Now, Whirlpool went to Mexico, and if you don't know what Newton buying is, well, that you know that out in the public world is TJ Maxx. Two big, very interesting companies. But Whirlpool took off and went to Mexico, and Newton buying, with the way the economy is, they're not selling like they used to.
No, and that's the problem. People have to have affordability. So you need a balance, right? You can't just serve the corporations. You got to have a balance. Workers have to make money, middlemen have to make money, and corporations have to make money. You got to create a balance in this economy. You got to have a reasonable expectation of what your wages are worth. You know, what is your value? Obviously, if you're pushing a broom, your value isn't $100 an hour. You know, it's ridiculous. You've got to have some sort of skills behind what it is you do. Um,
Hey,
that's just an entry level position.
John, real fast. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'll talk to y'all later. It was nice seeing y'all again, but I gotta go meet up with family.
All
You
right.
too, Logan. It's always great to see you, buddy.
Who did you run over?
That was construction.
Okay.
Oh,
It certainly looked like you ran somebody over. You was sure that was a construction worker?
No,
he had
that
to double check.
was
Look
called
at him.
West Virginia
Look at
construction
his
worker
mirror.
leaving a pothole in the road.
Did you say that was coal? You guys
No,
got so much coal in West Virginia it's coming up out of the ground through the road, or
no, I was saying that's a West Virginia DOT worker leaving a pothole in the road
Oh,
uh,
hell. We got a lot of those in my
the
spot.
size of my car.
well, we that's a national problem nowadays. You know, they got to inspect our big trucks to make sure they're worthy for the roads. And when you look at the roads, you go, wait a minute, they're not worthy for our big trucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Quick
Well, I'll
story on
talk to y'all
that.
later.
Late 1980s, early 1990s, the economy went to crap, and Michigan was not repairing its roads, and it was getting so bad that the potholes were so deep that when it rained, it filled with water. Nobody knew where the potholes were anymore, and people were literally losing tires and busting shocks and all sorts of stuff on these potholes on their roads. So I happened to be in Detroit at the time, and I had my little 3-inch black and white TV out where you raise the antenna, and uh, and you use the fine tuner to bring in the station. And here's this state senator says, I got the form right here, ladies and gentlemen. He's on television, right? He says, you know, the state of Michigan is responsible for negligence for not repairing the road. So if they're causing damage to your cars, they're responsible for the damage to cars. And you just got to call my office and get this form and fill out this form. And he's holding up the form while he's talking. And so he's telling everybody out loud that the state's going to pay for all the damages on your car because they won't fix the roads. So I was gone for about 3 months out of the state of Michigan. When I come back, I kid you not, them roads were fresh paved everywhere. They got moving. That's how you get shit done.
Well, I mean, you know, look at Pennsylvania. 80 didn't get called the washboard for nothing.
Oh my God, the old timers back in the 70s stuff used to talk about stories coming out of Ohio into Pennsylvania. And he said, yeah, they had all these truck repair shops right there at the entry, because once you cross the roads were so bad, they were busting springs and shocks and all sorts of things out of their big trucks. They're basically just taking the first exit off, going to the repair shop and getting shit fixed.
I mean, you know, it got to the point. The reason I was wearing my seatbelt so I couldn't bounce out of the damn seat because it was so bad.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man, I'm not a seatbelt wearer, and I've gotten a few tickets for not wearing them, and I still don't wear a seatbelt.
You too, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. You wear those bright yellow shirts, them cops catch you real quick. In fact, that's how I got caught not using an ELD out in Vermont. It was because I wasn't wearing the seatbelt, and that's why he pulled me over.
John,
You
you
can
need
see
to wear
that,
your seatbelt.
huh?
You need to wear your seatbelt.
When I was a kid, I thought, wow, that's a smart thing. You know, you wear your seatbelt. I remember, see, you don't remember this guy by the name of Larry Wilcox, but when we were kids, they used to have this TV show called CHIPS, California Highway Patrol. It was called CHIPS. It had Eric Estrada and Larry Wilcox played these two awesome dudes that were cops, and they had these great adventures on the roads dealing with the public. And Larry Wilcox in real life was a race car driver. And he put out this cool TV ad somewhere like 1981, 82, saying, you know, guys, the thing about wearing a seatbelt, not only will it save your life, but it also holds you in place in the vehicle. So if you're maneuvering your vehicle during evasive maneuvers, then it'll keep you in position to be in control of your car. And I'm like, you know, that sounds smart. When I start driving, I'm going to wear my seatbelt. Well, about that time, they decided to make a law saying you must wear your seatbelt. You'd be fine. Well,
Now you just want it. Now you're just not wearing it just to disobey.
I just got this issue about, and it was the insurance companies. It wasn't even
That's
the
what it
government,
was.
the insurance companies. So it was so ridiculous to me. I refused to wear a seatbelt. And I just don't wear one. But then I hear these guys that drive, because trucks have air ride seats, Allie. I'm sure you know, because your dad drives trucks, and you've probably been in his trucks and you're playing with the air until the air ran out of the tanks.
Mhm.
And you
You're
bounce up and
raising yourself
down.
up the seat as it goes, and you let it all out, you push it. You was a little kid and did that. So well, if you hit a bump real hard, what happens is, and Sean was just demonstrating this, you can go sink all the way to the floor, but it'll slingshot you straight up. Well, I've had guys actually say they've been slingshot out of the seat of their truck. They're sitting between the two seats on the floorboard with a gear shifter up between their legs, trying to scramble to get up because their truck's running out of control. So wearing a seatbelt's not a bad idea, but my pet peeve about wearing a seatbelt in a big truck is because the air ride seat will bounce. And what I find is it'll bounce, you go maximum height. When it comes down, the seatbelt will lock. It'll be hanging off the seatbelt. Now I'm not driving the truck anymore. I'm fighting with the seatbelt. Joshua Davis, how you doing? What's the topic? Well, we were just giving a big middle finger up to authority for making seatbelt laws. We got a lot of things we should be talking about. We've been talking about Generation Z and their outlook on the economy, but I kind of came in, took over, and redirected things and got off topic, to be honest about
Well,
it.
yeah, but
One for the
I did.
shame.
I think Logan was right. His air conditioner was interfering because the buzzing sound's gone now.
Yeah. And I was blaming it on the princess.
I cannot believe that. Just blame it on me.
Girls always get the blame. I just give my wife a ration.
You might want to type in Princess Sally to remind him who you are next show.
I will.
I can fix that.
I'll make sure I put a crown there just to make sure. Just double make sure.
He's got to know who you are now, Allie. That's just all there is to it. Oh, John's hot on it. Look at him. He's hot on it. I'm surprised he don't have the scrolling marquee going by now.
The booger brain. All right, it's on now. It's on now, John.
Well, you can't fix my name.
No, I can't fix your name, but I'll figure out something.
You'll figure out something.
You might
emails, and I know what that means.
John, you might want to consider one small detail. I'm just throwing this out there, but Allie too knows Trucker Billy.
What are you telling me? Trucker Billy will get the best of me?
Actually, Trucker Billy called me today.
Oh, hell. What did Trucker Billy want?
He wants to bring a guest on and have a debate. A peaceful debate.
Hey, is that why the squirrel's not here?
No, the squirrel's not here because she has no reception in Wyoming.
No, okay.
So I think maybe sometime we're going to accommodate Trucker Billy. And I got just the person for it. I just need him to call me back.
Are you trying to figure out what I wrote?
Yeah, the Terror. What the hell is that, John?
Wait a minute. I did write that wrong, didn't I? Hang on.
I was like, what the hell is that?
I'm semi-educated.
It's not wearing that seatbelt.
Well, I gotta rethink myself here. Did I spell that right?
The Terror.
Well, that'll be a nice name to be calling you in Discord from now on.
The Tierra Tear. Okay. I was like, what? What is a Terra Tear? Okay.
I think I was thinking about George Bush. You know, the tear.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, yeah, that'll be something we need to call you in Discord. Which, by the way, we're going to try to work on some things in Discord in the future. So, John, you got anything else going on?
Oh God, you know, there was a Federal Register came through earlier today, and I never took a look at it. Should we all take a look at it together and see if it's worth even
Oh,
mentioning?
let's just take a peek.
I think I saw Federal Register. Where did I see it? Right there. National Highway Safety Administration record retention requirement.
Well, Sean, I kind of had a counter question to you from earlier. Do you see, or what do you see in Gen Z? Like, what do you see in 20 years for us?
If things don't change, personally, in 20 years, you're going to, I feel, and by then I will probably be no longer of this earth. In 20 years, well, I mean, let's face facts. Let's face facts. I'm almost 60 years old, hon.
Sean's not here to guide you through life. Sean's here to take his finger and point and go, say, go that way.
Yeah, go that way. Go that way. I see you're going to go through some of the times and tribulations that we all went through. I think you're going to have your good presidents. I think you're going to have your bad presidents. I think you're going to have some good representatives, and I think you're going to have some shitty ass senators. Personally, I think the idea Trump had about having term limits, when I was your age, I was totally against it because of one man that we had in Indiana that was actually, if you go look up John Myers, he was actually put up for 9 times for Bulldog of the Representatives. He won the Bulldog Award. That's because John Myers cared about the American people in the state of Indiana. So you're going to have that. But in 20 years, I would venture to say that I think your economy will be a little bit better, more off in certain areas.
It's hard to predict this, but if you really want to
predict
this, wouldn't you look at history first? There's a lot of guys who can predict the future because they know the past. And what they're doing is they're seeing patterns that are happening from the past. And this is what we're doing, is recycling patterns. And but what makes this more difficult is the technology is so much different. Vastly so. With AI happening and all these other things, it's gonna impact industry in many regards. I mean, like, look at that thing Elon Musk just put out. He put out this whole video of him dancing with Donald Trump side by side, kind of shadow dancing, whatever you want to call it. And he says only the haters call this AI. And I think the reason why he did that was his marketing ploy, because in X it's called Grok. They call it AI. So he was saying it's Grok, it's not AI, like it's better or something. But the fact that he could put that together rapidly, and it used to take people, I mean, you think back in the days of Disney cartooning and stuff, it took them a long time to make a Disney movie. The way they had to overlap their characters and their scenery and stuff to get the depth into it and stuff, the details and how they had to draw each and every frame. And they probably had thousands and thousands of frame per movie. So it was an incredible amount of work. It was tedious. And now we just, over here just hitting keys and stuff, and all of a sudden it's all up there. They're talking about, well, you tell AI this, and boom, it's coming up on your screen, somewhat what you wanted or whatever. Now you got to just make minor adjustments. So they're consolidating the workload, and they're making it so much easier that it requires less manpower. So everything's going to amount to adaptability, is what it's going to amount to. And it always has, Allie. It's always been about adapting to your change and to your environment. So what you need to do is make an evaluation of where we're at now, what's projected for trends in the future, and where your best career choices are going to be in those trends. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be better off to start your own business? Are you going to be better off to be employed? And in what type of business will you best benefit from? And there's an old saying, I guess everybody needs to eat and everybody's going to die. So if you want to get into the business, it might be a good deal. And with the cost of funerals and stuff, cremation might be the way to go. I think that's where people are going nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
So I mean, but it's a matter
I don't
of
know. I told my sister-in-law if she cremates me, I'm going to come back and haunt her in her kitchen.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
but education is a key. I would suggest anybody your age right now, get educated. It's tough, I know it. It stinks, I know. It's a lot of work, but it'll pan out in the future. Trust me. When you're on your side of it, it seems horrible to think about an education. Maybe not. A lot of people like it. They enjoy getting educated. Me, I didn't do so well with it. I like learning things, but I didn't want to learn a lot of stuff they were shoving down my throat at the time. But had I taken the time, like most people, and learned it the way they were teaching us back then, I'd have had the advantage of having that piece of paper behind me and made greater strides in what I've made so far, had I wanted to do more. At the time, driving trucks is all I really wanted to do. I thought it'd be a lot of fun. It paid pretty decent back in the day when I was making that decision. But you know what? Everything's changed since then. It doesn't pay so good. Everything's changing with AI. Everything's changing with autonomous trucks. They're trying to use technology not in favor of us at all, putting driver facer cameras, ELDs, all these types of control devices. I got into trucking because I wanted to enjoy my freedoms. That was part of the attractiveness to it. It wasn't just, the pay was, wasn't humongously great, but it was acceptably, profitable. But man, I really love my freedoms, and I really like being able to come and go as I please. I grew up that way. I live my life that way. I will suffer to avoid being under people's control. I'd rather go without than be under somebody else's control, and that's just my own stubbornness. But so that was my choice at the time. That's the choice I made. Things changed, and it's hard to adapt to some of these changes when you're invested into this industry, and the whole industry's modified and it's changed. It's become more and more difficult. But and a lot of people benefit during these changes because they've educated themselves. They've taken the business courses. Mm-hmm. So now that they're on this end of it, they see the trends, they see the changes, and they're adapting to those trends and changes. They're like, ELD, no big deal. I'll just do this. I'll adjust this way, or I'll adjust that way.
Well, and again, you got to remember a couple other things too. I mean, in my case, the best thing that I ever did was when I was in high school, I took business courses. Because I knew at the age of 13, this is what I wanted as a profession. And I'm glad I took those courses. They've come in handy. I mean, for God's sakes, how many 60-year-olds, you don't still know how to type. But the thing I think you got to remember is when you, like as John was saying, when you go on with time, you don't have typewriters anymore. You just have computers now.
You still need to know how to type to use them, but hey, you know what? That's changing too because of all this Word Dragon stuff that popped up.
Well,
Word Dragon, that was the original speech recognition software, but
well, that's what I'm talking about. It's all changing, John. You don't really have to type anymore. You just talk into your cell phone.
Yeah, you hit that little microphone button and you say what you want to the Google, and it pulls up the responses for you.
I mean, you could actually do a letter on your cell phone now, and you got your wireless printers. There you go.
Yeah. Some of these things improve our lives. They enhance it a little bit. They make things a little more easy and better. But then again, sometimes, it's kind of like the old days when you could fix your own car. And now it's such a headache to fix a car.
Yeah,
it's almost impossible for some people. Some people still enjoy it. I don't like working on these modern cars so much. I spend so much time
going
through the sensors and the tech stuff, and it's always about 30 sensors later I finally found the one that's bad.
So much time.
It's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. Time wise is expensive, and money wise is expensive.
Yeah. Trucks are getting to be the same way, and I heard the Don on doing a press conference today in New Jersey, and I heard him talking about he had spoken to somebody in trucking that owns 27,000 trucks. So I'm thinking he spoke to somebody like Swift or that's doesn't necessarily own them, but he runs them, and he was complaining to the Don. By Don I mean Donald Trump, about these electronic trucks are trying to force, he says with these diesel trucks, they can make good money. They got a lot of power. They got a lot of creature comforts. They got everything we need. But now they're trying to force these electronic trucks on people, and he's saying they weigh too much. And he's given Donald Trump all the rundown about the issues with the electronic trucks because the batteries are so much heavier, the weight of the tractors are so much heavier. It's going to put a strain on the infrastructure. It's going to put a strain on the cost of doing business, which is going to put a strain on the supply chain because people aren't going to be able to afford to keep up with the cost. See, these are the changes we're talking about, right? And even these guys on a higher level recognizing the changes that are being forced onto us by the federal government, the Biden administration, and they're identifying the issues with them. It's not just issues
Well,
for them as a business, but it's issues for us as a society as a whole. How are we going to rebuild all these bridges to hold these weight changes? Because if you're going to run down the road to be efficient, the electronic trucks, you got to be able to adjust for the weight, and therefore you're going to be putting more weight on the road. You're going to be putting more weight on the bridges, and you're just going to be overstressing an already crumbling infrastructure.
well, and it's funny, John, because I'm sitting here at the rest area at Port St. Lucie, and a car hauler comes in. He had 6 on. Take a guess what he had.
Electronic truck cars. Oh, he's
Teslas.
driving electronic truck.
Yeah, he was hauling Teslas. Tesla pickups. There were 6 of them. Somebody's buying them.
Yeah, they are. Those new pickups you're talking about, or those Riviers or whatever the hell they are. Those really ugly looking, almost like RAV4 looking pickup trucks. Just ridiculous.
So,
I don't know which one you're talking about, the new ones or the old ones.
no, it was the old looking pickup they had.
Yeah, those things are ugly.
But yeah,
I don't care what they say. Not too many Teslas look like attractive cars. I saw one mechanic had the right idea. He found one of those wide body Teslas that actually looked nice. And he started ripping all the electronics out of it. He's like, I put a gas motor in this thing.
So,
I don't know if he ever did it or not, but that's what he was doing.
but we got anything else going on real quick, John? Because I'm gonna have to get going myself.
Nope. I guess what have we been? 57 minutes. It looks good to me. Ellie said she had to run and do something, so she can't I guess she's probably gonna miss the end. No big deal. She said she'll just catch us later if we close up before she gets back.
So, well, next week we got scheduled to appear with Vicki Roberts. Vicki at one time was very interested into the trucking industry. She's going to come on to talk about a new program that she's got going on with the drivers, the owner operators, and independents mainly. If you remember right, John, Vicki's the only one that I know to sit down in a full weekend, one setting, and read the FMCSA handbook.
The whole FMCSA in one setting?
1 weekend. One setting.
1 weekend. How many naps does she have to take? I mean, that must have been a lot of sleep time.
I don't know, but we're going to refresh her memory next
That
week.
must have been a 4-day weekend.
So
that's
also,
a lot of tiresome work reading the whole FMCSA handbook, and it's boring.
Also scheduled to appear on September 5th, Matthew Kane will be back on board.
Matthew Kane, Right Load at rightload.com.
Matthew's also getting interested in the cell phone usage. He's working on doing a program right now, and it'll get you about, depending on what the cost of it is, it's supposed to be able to, you can use your cell phone, unlimited data, it's hotspots, and it's even set up for ELD.
Matthew has got some phenomenal plans. If everything comes together, it's going to be a lot of benefits to be there at Right Load. So this is going to be an interesting show to hear him talk about this.
But he's scheduled to be on September 5th.
Awesome. And
so if you can't, go ahead, John.
Oh, I said I was just going to announce that I think we're going to do a space tomorrow night on X with TIBN, the Truckers Independent Broadcasting Network's page over there on X. So I believe about 7 o'clock at night we'll roll out with that.
All right. Sounds good. So don't forget, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you can catch John and Bad Billy on Patriot Confederation. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, you can catch John with Todd and Chris on the Common Sense Conservative, and we'll be back next Thursday.
Awesome. So that's our bit, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, keep the greasy side down, the shiny side up, in between the lines. Safe travels wherever it is you may be going. Be good. And if you can't be good, well, be good at it. And we gone.